Welcome to Encounter Wargaming, I'm Jay, and today we're going to be continuing our Relics of the Dark Age series with the Codex Sisters of Battle. So sorry it's been a minute, guys, since we've done the Relics of the Dark Age series. We took a little break there for a little bit to do some other cool stuff. We've been getting into Adeptus Titanicus, we've been doing wicked awesome terrain tutorials, so I hope you guys really enjoyed all that stuff. And I'm sorry for those of you who are really following this series and love seeing the 2nd edition stuff, because I love 2nd edition. It was the edition that I started playing in, and so it has a lot of nostalgia for me, and I'm sure it does for you guys too, because you guys have been following along with this series and you've been loving it. I've been getting so many awesome comments, and in fact, when I didn't release this video on Sisters of Battle the week after the game, what was it called? The Storm of Vengeance campaign, I think, the 2nd edition Storm of Vengeance campaign. I told you guys I'd be doing Sisters of Battle next, and I got a couple of messages from you guys when we released an unboxing that was like, where's the Sisters of Battle Codex? So anyway, without further ado, here it is. Alright, the much anticipated Codex Sisters of Battle. Look at that artwork right there. Man, I love John Blanche's artwork. It's just so grimdark. I mean, he's got a very specific style, as you can see. I just love how everything is like kind of awkwardly like there's a weird perspective to it. It's got kind of like a weird dark comic book kind of look to it, like a very pencil sketch kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. I just love John Blanche's art. I mean, it's so unique. Out of all the art for Warhammer 40,000, he's absolutely the most grimdark and the most awesome of all of them. If I could collect every single piece of art the guy ever made, I would. But anyway, we're not here to talk about John Blanche. Well, we are a little bit, because we're going over 2nd edition, but we're here to talk about the Sisters of Battle. So this was the codex that came out for the Sisters of Battle in the 2nd edition of Warhammer 40,000, and basically, it came out very close to the end of 2nd. I think it was only out for a little while before 3rd dropped. So those Sisters players were probably excited when it came out, because it sort of fleshed out the Sisters, because they were just kind of a thought beforehand in 2nd edition. They weren't really a full-fledged force. They hadn't really fleshed out the fluff and the army list and all that. This was the first time they really got a full codex. And in fact, when they dropped 3rd, things took it took almost till 3.5, almost 4th edition, before they came out with what they called the Witch Hunters Codex, which was the next sort of Sisters of Battle Codex, for lack of a better word. Even though it was more just, you know, an ecclesiarchy codex, if you really wanted to think about it. I guess it's Ordo Hereticus, which the Sisters of Battle are the militant arm of, I suppose. But, yeah, anyway, I'm not talking about 3rd right now. We're going to get into that in the next bunch of videos. We may get to the Witch Hunters Codex eventually. But right now, we're focusing on Sisters of Battle. So here it is, guys. Again, awesome cover art. Let's whip her open. And here we go. Look at this old school church, or old school chapel that they built here. The Inquisition logo on the front, that's awesome. Again, I love this old school sort of look to the terrain. Like with the green flocked ground and everything. Everything was so clean back in 2nd edition. In fact, that stained glass window is bomb. That is super cool. And you can even see here these archways and stuff like that. Like, somebody took a lot of time to like cut those out of like XPS foam or something, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't sell this stuff. This is probably actually built out of cardboard and foam core, and, you know, just very, like the door here with the various layers is probably actually like layers of card, if you can believe that or not. Yeah, anyway, let's check her out. So, again, the most important page in dealing with any classic book is the publishing information. So, written by Gav Thorpe, cool, thank you Gav for the Sisters of Battle book. Rulebook cover, John Blanche, there you go. The coolest artwork ever in Warhammer 40,000. Absolutely love the guy's art. So we can look here for the date. That is the important part for collectors when looking at these old books. 1997. So we're slowly progressing through the 90s. I'm not sure what year 3rd ed actually came out, but it was probably 98 or 99. So like I was saying, this is right at the end of 2nd edition. and people didn't really have a lot of time to play with this book. So I feel sorry for those guys who bought it and like could only use it for like 1 year before it got rebooted. But actually, to tell you the truth, nowadays they're kind of rebooting codexes that quickly anyway. So whatever, it is what it is. This is the Sisters of Battle, and these are their rules for 2nd edition. So, table of contents, just to see what we're getting into here. We've got a lot of fluff about the Adeptus Ministorum, going through the Horus Heresy, as they have to with every Imperial Codex, as well as Chaos, I suppose. The Founders of the Faith, Temple of the Savior Emperor, Adeptus Ministorum. The Age of Apostasy, obviously the most important historical time in the formation of the Sisters of Battle, when they turned from the Daughters of the Emperor into the Brides of the Emperor, I think they called them. What was his name? Van Dyer turned them into the Brides of the Emperor, I think, and then they found out he was corrupt, and they killed him, and blah, 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 and basically became the Adeptus Sororitas that we know today. They are the militant arm of the Ordo Hereticus, as well as the militant arm of the Ecclesiarchy. So, going into this, the Reformation of their, Sebastian Thor, there you go, the Reformation. The Ecclesiarchy is reborn under Sebastian Thor, who overthrows the corrupt Van Dyer. Then we've got the organizations, and it's just telling you how, the Frateris Militia, the Sisterhood, the clergy, blah, 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 how they work. The Imperial Creed, that's interesting. And then, of course, we're getting into rules. So, yeah, there you go. Relics, sacred rites. So obviously they have some kind of faith system back in this edition. I'm dying to check that out, actually, because their faith system, the rules system around their faith points and stuff has changed so much throughout editions. And it'd be really interesting to see how they work, because this is the original incarnation, guys. This is the first time they actually have a full-out army list for the Adeptus Sororitas. And of course, you have a Sororitas army list, right? We've got all the characters, squads, support, and special characters, the same as all the other second ed codices were outlined. And so it's probably the same thing as has been in the past. I mean, obviously we'll see how it goes as we flip through this book, but I'm imagining that you have to have at least 25% squads, you're going to have up to 50% characters, 25% support, blah, 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 just like we have with all the other armies. So, it's a cool little fluff piece. I always love these little pieces that they just throw in here as like sort of dividers. Since the birth of humanity in the prehistory of Earth, the Emperor has protected and guided mankind. Down through the long millennia, he has striven to thwart the enemies of the human race and protect mankind from its own self-destructive instincts. He has constantly guarded the mass of humanity against dangers and foes it was not even aware existed. When ancient philosophers first speculated the nature of the universe, the Emperor already knew the answer. When humanity took its first few tentative steps into space, he was aware of the perils that awaited them. When the nature of the warp was first discovered, he had already roamed its immaterial realm. The Emperor is the bastion upon which the human race is founded. Even in a deathly state, held immobile in the life-giving energies of the Golden Throne, the Emperor continues his eternal vigilance. Vast armies sweep through the galaxy in his name, and whole planets are raised for his cause. His strength allows the starships of mankind to forge their way across the galaxy, encountering new stars, new worlds, and new peoples. By his very presence, the total and eternal damnation of chaos is held in abeyance. Without him, there is nothing. Cool. So, I just read that little piece of fluff for you guys, but I'm not going to go through all the fluff of this book. That would just take way too long, and I've basically told you that in every one of these videos, that if you want fluff, I will do fluff videos. Just comment below, please, if you want to hear fluff videos, and I will definitely do you a series of fluff videos. And we can even go back and see retcon fluff and see how things have changed. If that's what you guys want to hear, I will do it. But for right now, I'm just showing you the awesomeness of this book. We're going to talk about the rules a little bit, but not in extreme detail. Just sort of skimming through it, showing you guys the badass nature of these second edition codices. That is a super cool piece right there. Look at that. That is so badass. I love the aesthetic, the weird gothic aesthetic of the Imperium, and the very like Catholic look of everything. I think it's wicked awesome, and I absolutely love the aesthetic of 40k. And it has ringed true. It's stayed sort of similar all the way through. I mean, these editions, there's more of a comic book sort of goofy aspect to a lot of the artwork and a lot of the stuff. Warhammer's always had a great sense of humor. I mean, obviously it's gotten less humorous as things have gone on. It's gotten a little more serious, a little more cool, I guess. Because I love all the new stuff. I mean, their new plastics are absolutely amazing as compared to the plastics in these days. But to be honest with you, the Sisters of Battle that were out in these days, the old metal ones, they redid them when the Witch Hunters book came out. So they have even sort of like that. That's our current models, if you can believe that or not. The models that came out in 3rd edition are actually the current Sisters of Battle models. And they keep teasing us with the idea of Plastic Sisters, but they haven't come out with them yet. So we'll see if that ever happens. But even the Sisters of Battle models from this stage were actually really good models, and I would still even use them to this day if I could get my hands on a few of them. The Wars of Apostasy, there we go. The High Lord falls, Mr. Vander. The Ecclesiarchy Reborn, or the Reformation of Sebastian Thor. That is stupid cool. Look at that. Could you imagine how big that door actually is? Like, these are just normal people down here. Actually, I guess those are Battle Sisters. So yeah, I guess they'd be human height. Like, imagine how big those statues and that door actually is. That's just absolutely nuts. Like, 40K is on such a large scale. It's absolutely mind-blowing how big these cathedrals and stuff are. Yep, going through the Reformation. That's a cool little piece just to throw in the corner. Some sisters firing off the corner of a building. Cool. And there's our cover art by the amazing John Blanche. So awesome. Now we're getting into the color pages. Cool. So we get to see the organization of the Orders Militant. The Ordo Militant of the Adeptus Sororitas. So obviously the Ecclesiarch sits at the top. That's the guy who's in charge of the church. And then we go into the Adeptus Sororitas, actually, organization. So I assume here we have 2 different orders under the, I guess, umbrella of the Ecclesiarchy. Yep, so we got Convent Sanctorum and Convent Prioris. Let me just read the little bit here. The Adeptus Sororitas comes under the auspices of the Ecclesiarch by the majority of the governance of the orders and performed in the Prioress of the Convent Sanctorum and the Convent Prioris. Interesting. Oh, okay. So this is actually the organization that includes all of the orders. So these are not 2 separate orders. These are actually 2 separate wings, I suppose, that each have their own orders. So under the Convent Sanctorum, we got the Order of the Bloody Rose, the Order of the Martyred Lady, and the Order of the Valorous Heart. Whereas under the Convent Prioris, we've got the Order of the Sacred Rose, as opposed to Bloody Rose, the Order of the Ebon Chalice, interesting, so I guess that means a black chalice, Order of the Argent Shroud, cool. And then you've got the Order Hospitallers, so basically like their apothecaries, the Order Famulus, the Order of the Holy Seal and Sacred Coin, that's interesting, and the Order Dialogus, so those are Sisters Dialogus, the orators of the Ecclesiarchy. And then of course there's some minor orders that sort of owe fealty to the other sororitas orders. And so they're showing you here the color schemes of the orders that they've mentioned. So the Order of the Martyred Lady, it's just straight black armor with red bolters. In fact, you'll see that all of these are in fact just black, red, white, and metal. I mean, really, no matter what sisters you play, those are your colors: red, white, black, and silver. In fact, I've always really liked the look of the Argent Shroud with the silver armor and the white robes. I think that would look wicked cool alongside a Grey Knight army. The Ordo Hereticus and the Ordo Malleus working together. Obviously, they don't always, and I'm not sure if the sisters are really fans of Space Marines, because they are definitely against mutants. And Space Marines are kind of genetic mutants, if you really want to think about it. Anyway, enough on that tangent. We've got some Battle Sisters to take a look at here. So they've gone with the black paint scheme here for the majority of the stuff, which is the Order of the Martyred Lady, so that's pretty cool. And like I say, look at these old models. They're actually really cool. Like, they're beautiful models. And in fact, it's interesting that they... actually, I may have been wrong in my previous statement that they redid them in 3rd, because they may not have. These might actually be the models that have existed the entire time. Yeah, I think they actually are. Damn. Wow. Yeah, the Seraphim are... yeah, they've got to be. That's crazy. They've actually... they came out with their model line in this edition, and they haven't redone them since. How crazy is that? What is this? So, what was this, 97? So here we are in 2018. It's been 20 years. 20 years! And they haven't redone these models. That's insane. Now, of course, we talked about that before. They did that. They've done that with the I almost called them Aspect Warriors, with the Phoenix Lords. And a few of the Chaos characters have yet not seen a redo, and they're just as old, if not older than these, which is crazy talk. Even characters like Azrael and of the Dark Angels and stuff like that are still the old school model, which is just absolutely insane. Like, come on guys, give us some new models. Anyway, we're not talking about the present, we're talking about the past today, and how awesome these old school models actually are. In fact, they're good enough that they've actually stayed through editions. They've lasted 20 years. And for people still to be using these models just blows my freaking mind. But look how cool they are. Especially compared to a lot of the other Second Ed stuff, which has, like I said, a very comic book, goofy feel to it. These models are actually spectacular. They're very dynamic for the time period. And they're just beautiful. I mean, they look like nuns with guns, as they're absolutely supposed to. So, like, in 3rd, they did actually redo the tanks. They didn't just put this on top of a new Rhino body. Like, they actually redid the immolators with that cool little glass window and stuff. And they came out with the Exorcist tanks with the organs on top and stuff like that. So when they redid the Rhino in 3rd, they redid the Sisters tanks too. But I'm really surprised, actually, that they didn't redo the Pewter troops. But here we've got Sisters allying with some Ultramarines. Again, in 2nd edition, you could pretty much ally any of the Imperial armies with each other, which was kind of neat. So there you go. If you wanted to add some bikes, some Space Marine bikes, hanging out with the Sisters, you can do that. And I always love when we get a map of the galaxy, because as you can see, there are quite a few extra worlds on this map than there were in some of the past codices. Just take a good look here. So I assume these Inquisition signs are actually the worlds where the Sisters live. So we've got, yep, Cardinal Baccharis lives here, home planet of Confessor Dolan. So actually it seems like they're just important planets to the development of the Adeptus Sororitas, because we've got the home planet of the Daughters of the Emperor, so that's where they were first found by Vandire. We got the victory of Uriah Jacobus being one of the prominent characters in the Adeptus Sororitas, or in the Ecclesiarchy, I should say, in the Adeptus Sororitas rules. The Diocese of Armandus Hellfire, that's kind of cool. Birthplace of Sebastian Thor, see, there you go. So just important spots. I guess they're not home worlds as such like we saw in the Ultramarine book, they're just important worlds to the development of the Sororitas. And here we go with some cool pictures. We got a cool priest there. I still love that model to this day, and I would love to get my hands on it. That, I believe, is Jacobus. Cool. Moving on. And the old school rhinos are just so funny nowadays compared to the new ones. So the Order of the Martyred Lady Army. So it's actually giving you the example of an army list here. So here we go. We've got, yep, Redemptor Kirinov. Oh, okay, I guess that's what this guy is. Yeah, that was Redemptor Kirinov. I'm sorry. The other priest with the, like, skull-shaped brazier and the shotgun on the other hand is what I meant to be talking about. Anyway, now my brain's all mush. So we've got a canonist here, leading the army with Redemptor Kirinov along with them. 5 sister bodyguard for the canonist, that's pretty cool, and a banner. Francesca. Missionary champion with a squad of Immaculata. Interesting. Special weapons, Meltagun, sister armed with Boltbuster Power Sword. So I guess the Immaculata are your like sort of troop choices. Obviously, again, in this edition, squads are squads, regardless of what they are. In 3rd, they did the Force Organization chart, so that was kind of what we used up until 7th. And so those would be like your sort of troop sisters, I guess. Whereas the Squad Sicilia looks like it just includes 1 heavy weapon, so I guess it's another sort of like troop unit. And then the Seraphim Squad Angelus seem to be the Sister Seraphims. Those would be like your assault troops with the dual pistols and the jump packs, right? And of course we got an Immolator and a Rhino, and if you think of it, that's actually not that many models, right? Like, we're used to seeing giant armies these days of like 100, 200 models, even in 2,000 points. Even at 1,200 points, you could probably have what are sisters now, 10 points a model? So in 1,200 points, you could have a lot of sisters, whereas in this edition, like, we're literally looking at an army that is like 2, 5, so 7, 6, 8, 18, 23, 25 models for 1,200 points. I mean, that's expected of a Grey Knight army nowadays, but for things like sisters, it's silly. So we got some old school Valhallans hanging out with Kirinov. I assume he is Valhallan Confessor. That's probably why his name sounds so Russian. And a couple of the priest models, again, wicked cool models that still fit the aesthetic of Warhammer 40k. Ooh, I love these pages when they give us these pages. I remember that page in the Chaos Space Marine book I used to stare at for hours. So this is just, these pages are super cool because they sort of give you awesome conversion ideas. Like here, that looks exactly like Mephiston. Used Lord Mephiston, Blood Angel's Lord of Death, as an apothecary Corbulo using plasticine to create fire, replace Mephiston's shoulder pads with plastic skeleton heads, and add Chaos Plasma Pistol and a Chaos Terminator Power Maul. Boom. There's your Inquisitor. And I love how they used to excuse me. I love how they used to do this in this time period. They used to actually encourage you to convert models. Nowadays it's like, oh well, like I said, they've taken out, for example, like librarians on bikes or sorcerers on bikes and stuff like that because they don't actually have a model for the sorcerer on bikes. So nowadays, Games Workshop's really only creating rules for the things that they sell models of. Whereas before, they used to make rules and be like, okay, if you want to convert this, go for it. Here are the rules. And they're just getting away from that nowadays. As a conversion freak myself, a guy who loves to make everything unique and different from, you know, I never just build anything right out of the box. I totally convert everything I have pretty much. Even my Space Marines are not your, you know, generic vanilla Space Marines. So I liked being encouraged to do this kind of stuff, you know? Like, it's even telling you here to take, like, Empire heads and, you know, Chaos Warrior helmets and things like that, and convert up your own stuff. I really wish Games Workshop would start encouraging that a little bit more. They don't do enough of that. I guess they just really want to sell the model kits as are, right? But if you really think about it, GW, if somebody's watching this and you're listening, when you encourage conversions, it actually encourages people to buy 2 or 3 model kits as opposed to 1. So just think about that a little bit, all right? If I want to do an awesome conversion, I'm going to buy 2 kits and bash them together to create 1 unit, rather than just buying 1 box and assembling it as is. So get back to encouraging that a little bit, guys. Anyway, we got some banners here. As I've shown you in the other books, this is the kind of thing where you just kind of photocopy it, or if you really wanted to, you could cut them out of this, which would actually be a shame. But you could photocopy these banners, and then these little flappies just allow you to sort of fold it around the pole, so it has a way of like attaching to the pole properly. Back in this day, they used to encourage you to do these paper banners, and in fact, a lot of the kits, a lot of the blisters and box sets and stuff would come with these on like kind of a sticker paper that you could just peel it off and stick it onto your thing. And it was so easy to do, made your models look spectacular. And even here, they've even taken this one here, and they've just kind of tattered up the edges a little bit just to encourage you to sort of make it look as realistic as possible. Now they actually do the banners on molds, like they're actually part of like plastic molded banner, or I guess resin in some cases. Anyway, A data sheet for the emulator. Let's take data facts, I should say, for the emulator. Yep, so we got one gunner, one driver, very similar to a Rhino. Front armor, wow. Actually, I guess that's probably right. Armor 20 on the hull, armor 21 on the turret. Cool. And standard roll for location. Do your armor penetration, roll to see what happens to the location. Same as all the other data facts as we've seen. The only weapon on it is the heavy flamer. Of course, it's got a dual heavy flamer up on the turret there. It can carry 5 models, so it's basically a heavy flamer Razorback if you really want to get, you know, basic about it. But I don't believe in this edition Razorbacks could have 2 heavy flamers, so the emulator was unique. Now I believe you can put heavy flamers on your Razorbacks, so I don't see what really makes an emulator different from a Razorback. But anyway, it is what it is. The organization of the ecclesiarchy. So we're getting into a little bit more fluff here, but basically just to facilitate the rules, because now they are telling you about the actual current organization as opposed to the history of it. Yep, we got all the deacons, the Adeptus Sororitas, the Holy Synod, cardinals, preachers, confessors, and the Fraterus Militia, which are basically just men who have been sort of brought under the militant arm of the ecclesiarchy. Not full out guardsmen, I guess if you want to think of them as conscripts. Back in this era, they actually had models for Fraterus Militia, which were basically just dudes with pistols. I mean, they're basically just human citizens, if you want to think of it that way, that have been brought under, that have been called to battle because their world is being threatened, right? And the sisters sort of tell them what to do, I suppose, give them orders on the battlefield and tell them where to go. Cool. So now we've got different schools of thought, I suppose. The Redemptionists, the Imperialists, these are different kinds of ecclesiarchy organizations. The Brethren of the Light. And then, of course, we're going into the Heresy. Cool. Penitents. And just some fluff on the Apostle Cardinal, the Battle of the Fang. Neat. I didn't know that the Space Wolves and the Sisters had a tight history, so that's kind of cool to find out. The World of Gathalamor, the Great Confessors. I just want to show you guys this neat little piece of art right here. I've seen that in a whole bunch of other books. And if you look at it, it's very simple shapes and very simple concept, but it just sort of shows you like how developed a hive world, like I would imagine that's a hive world, with the ships flying above it. If you think how big one of these spaceships actually... Whoop, sorry, I accidentally hit my camera there. If you think about how big one of those spaceships actually is, you can't even imagine how big these spires are, right? Just massive, to the point where they're like almost sticking out of the atmosphere of the planet. Just absolutely nuts. Again, the scale of things in the Warhammer 40k universe is just absolutely insane. So now we're getting into actual rules. We've got relics for your army here. These are extra, I guess, war gear that you could attach to your characters. Let's just take a good look at these little things. Inspire those around him. Any troops within 8 inches of the character start rally phase. May take the character's leadership value. Character wearing this cloak adds +1 to their armor save. Rosarius, an invulnerable save of a 4-up. Same as it is now, same as it's always been. Characters may drink the contents of the Phial of Dolan at the start of the turn, and the rest of the player's turn. Character's strength and toughness are increased by D3. Ew! To a maximum of 10. Oh, jeez. That's pretty cool, actually. You could just, like, juice up one character right before a combat phase or something. That is wicked cool. The Tears of the Emperor. Just like a grenade, a 2-inch blast marker. Any demon affected takes a D6... Takes a wound on a 4+, receives no saving throw for their demonic aura. That's kind of neat. Scroll containing litanies of faith. The bearer may choose certain hymnals and chants to inspire his followers. Leading a squad, sacred rites with litanies of faith can roll 2 dice and choose which result applies. Okay, so we're going to have to look at litanies of faith. Where are those? Cool, so we've got some war gear here. Blade of Abnegation, Axe of Retribution, Medicus Ministorum, Purity Seals. That's cool. Purity Seals were actually a war gear item as opposed to just a decorative thing. Sacred Rites, here we go, that's what it was talking about. So, a Canonist adds +3 to a roll. Veteran Sister Superior adds +2 to a roll. Sister Superior adds +1 to a roll. Oh, to roll on the Sacred Rites table. Cool. Missionary Major Hero adds +1 to the roll. If there's a Psyker in the army, as the Ecclesiarchy, all rolls suffer a -1. So even back then, they were against Psykers. That's really cool. Really cool. So what are your Sacred Rites? We've got 9 of them here. Ah, that's interesting. So you're rolling a d6, so only a Canonist can ever roll a 9. Whereas a Sister Superior can only ever roll a 7. Veteran Sister Superior can roll up to 8. So, 1, no effect. Fine. 2, the squad is immune to fear and terror for the duration of the battle. Wow. 3, the squad becomes subject to frenzy. Super cool. They get all blood frenzied. That's cool. 4, squad adds +1 to its leadership for the duration of the battle. That's handy, I suppose, up to a leadership of 10. 5, hatred. Neat. 6, each member gets a psychic save on a 4+ on a d6. Note that this does not nullify a power, but a 4+, the unit is unaffected. Okay, cool. 7, the squad automatically passes any psychology or break test. That's handy. 8, the squad is so determined to smite their enemies that they pay no heed to their own safety. The squad may ignore choosing a target rules for fire at an enemy squad or vehicles if you wish. The squad cannot pick out enemy characters unless they are more than 2 inches from a squad. Right, and they have to be out on their own in the open, I suppose. That makes sense. As detailed in the heroic character section of the rulebook. And 9, once in a battle at the end of the shooting phase, the squad may fire again. Ew. Weapons that are jammed or are recharging may not be fired and will stay jammed. Yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty cool. Just add some nice little bonuses to your turn sequence. Excellent. There we go. We got the rules for the immolator and how that works. There you go. Because it's 2 heavy flamers, you actually get to use 2 templates. Ugh. Back when twin-linked weapons were actually 2 weapons. They brought that back now in 8th, but for the longest time it was just like re-rolls, which was just pointless for a heavy flamer. Well, actually, I guess not, because it was rerolls to wound as opposed to hit, where all other twin-linked weapons were hit. But anyway, in this edition, you actually had 2 heavy flamers for a twin-linked heavy flamer. So showing you here the side arc and front arc and all that stuff. Continued on through later editions. The turret does have a 90-degree fire arc, but it has a 360 movement. So I suppose you actually had to move the turret to face where you wanted to shoot at in the shooting phase.
Hey everybody, I'm Adam.
And I'm Jay.
We are Encounter Wargaming.
And we wanted to celebrate hitting our 1,500 subscribers with giving some stuff away. What are we giving away, Adam?
Fort Bane! Yeah. Alright, we're calling this the 2,500 subscriber Forge Bane giveaway because that's the target we need to hit to give this puppy away.
That's right. So the first thing you need to do is share this video, the video you are watching right now. And
then click subscribe on YouTube.
If you haven't already.
That's it for 1 entry.
And the more you share it, hopefully, the more people we can get to hit subscribe and hit that 2,500.
Woohoo!
But there are other ways to win as well.
Tell them about it.
Well, you can follow us on Twitch. That will also get you an entry. So you subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitch. On top of that,
support us on Patreon for 5 big buckaroo entries.
Crazy. So also all the people that already support us on Patreon, don't worry, you're also 5 entries. But also, you can hit subscribe on Twitch. Subscribing on Twitch will get you another 5 entries into the contest.
So good, and all of this to say thank you guys for all the support. We appreciate it very much. We've come a long way, and it's because of you.
It's true. It's been a wild ride, and thanks for all the support, all the help, and we want to give you some cool stuff as a thank you.
Awesome. So hey, remember to share this video. And guys, I think that's it. So we'll see you at our next encounter.
Alright, so now we're into the actual army list. So, using the army list, size of your games, yep. Yep, same as all the other codices we've been through. So the army has a maximum of 25% on allies. Ensure that the army has a reasonable balance of troops, blah 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 blah. Army selection box, characters are up to 50%, yep. So it's just like any other army. You must have 25%, minimum 25% squads, up to excuse me, up to 50%. You know, up to 50% support. Oh, wait. 15% of your points may on vehicle support section. Note that even Rhinos uses transports. For non-Adeptus Sororitas characters still have the Battle Sisters driver. Interesting. So, the request of the clergy member she is supporting. That's interesting. Okay, cool. Unlike other army lists, the Adeptus Mystorium has a separate allies allowance, right? Because allies were considered under the support section on the other armies. Rather than allies being included as part of your support, an Adeptus Mystorium force may spend 25% of its points on allies. Potential allies are indicated in the list. To choose allies refers to separate Warhammer 40,000 army list for your force. You may include allies from a single army or many different armies if you wish. That's kind of cool. Yeah, because before it's like if you were playing Space Marines, you could have Imperial Guard allies, or Eldar allies, or, right? This is like, I can have a squad of Imperial Guardsmen and a squad of Space Marine bikes, and then my sister's army. Cool. That's wicked cool. Kind of makes them a little bit different from the others. Social characters, war gear lists, Space Marines and how they relate to the whole thing. War gear cards and relics, just like all the other armies. Allies, mounted models, blah blah blah. So the war gear list. What do we got here? Flak armor, primitive shield. Weird. I don't know why they would be carrying a shield, but that's kind of cool. Mesh armor. Okay. Carapace armor. Standards. Power sword, power maul, plasma pistol, hand flamer, bolt pistol. We've seen all these before. Power sword, plasma pistol, yep. Hand bow. Half a point. Back in the days when Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 were not so different, and you could use Warhammer models in Warhammer 40,000. That's hilarious. They can have a hand bow. I have yet to see a Sisters of Battle model with a hand bow, but that's wicked cool, and it's hilarious that it's half a point. I don't even know how they even justify making it half a point. Just make it free or make it 1 point. Like, come on, guys. But that's considered a special weapon, if you can believe it or not. Now, why you would take a hand bow and not a bolt gun or a plasma gun or? Oh, that's so funny. Now, why are bolt guns considered special weapons here? Because you would think a sister would come automatically with a bolt gun, so that's interesting. Maybe for the Frateris Militia, they can take a bolt gun as a special weapon, as opposed to their little stub gun pistols. Then you got Militia basic weapons. Oh, and Militia special weapons. They've got a bolt gun, shotgun, hand flamer, bolt pistols, heavy stubber. So why would they put special weapons up there? That's interesting. We're going to have to find out, aren't we? So we got Canoness, which could have a bodyguard. Neat. Banner bearer and most of the bodyguard. Every 3-up armor save. Bodyguard costs comes from your squad allowance, not characters. That's interesting. So you can give them, yep, okay. That's kind of neat though, because then it allows you to have more characters, and you're not counting your command squad towards your character's allowance, which makes sense because I believe in the Space Marine book your command squad was counted towards your squad allowance, not your character allowance, so that's neat. Veteran Sisters Superiors, so those are your squad leaders, and then we've got missionaries, confessors. Let's just check here. So missionary comes with the las pistol. Yeah, may choose from assault weapons, special weapons, grenades. Okay, so they just put the bolter in there as sort of, or the bolt gun in there so that you can give it to these guys as special weapon. Because yeah, your veteran sister comes with a bolt gun and frag grenades. Seraphim sister, yeah, okay. Comes with 2 bolt pistols. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Cool. And the same degrees, champion hero, mighty hero. I guess they don't have the big characters for missionaries, they're just kind of minor heroes. Then we got preachers, which are basically beefed up humans. They have initiative of 4 and a weapon skill and ballistic skill of 4. That's badass. So your battle sister squads are toughness 4. Yikes. And a ballistic skill of 4. So they're Space Marines, but they still only have a strength of 3 and a weapon skill of 3. Because in later editions, they gave them a toughness of 3, because they are basically humans. They're not genetically enhanced warriors. They're just armed like Space Marines. They have power armor and bolt guns, and etc., etc., etc. However, in this, they've given them a toughness of 4 and an initiative of 4. That's huge. That's huge. That's kind of really gross, actually. Seraphim squads, so this is your jump pack with the 2 pistols. Armed with 2 bolt pistols and frag grenades, yep. Squads equipped with jump packs, it's a 3-up armor save. Right, veteran sisters get the extra roll on the table, yep, okay, cool. And for terrorist militia band, neat. So again, like I explained to you, they're just kind of like dudes that hang out. The male servants of the ecclesiarch, either members of the clergy or lay followers. In times of need, the fraternities may take up arms and defend themselves, led by a preacher or confessor. In times of great need, the ecclesiarchy may arm its support staff. Clerics, deacons, and other functionaries' roles are normally more physical than spiritual. All of these are known to be general terms of the fraternities militia. Interesting. So you literally could have a bunch of monks with stub guns running around. That's cool. Or they could just be normal townsfolk, however you want to look at it. And again, that gives you rules. That gives you room to convert. So again, they used to encourage conversions, even in just these little blurbs before the rules. So for support, we've got rhinos, immolators, standard transports that we expect. That's it for support. Interesting. So they're just including rhinos and immolators. I guess everything else has to be allied in. Any other imperial stuff. Cool. So now we're going into special characters. We got Saint Praxedes of Ophelia. There you go. It's a character that we do not currently have rules for. Saint Praxedes may take war gear cards, up to 3 relics. Oh, she has 3 relics. They have to be the Cloak of Saint Aspera, the Scepter of Vengeance, and the Purity Seal, and a Scanner. If Saint Praxedes is leading an army, they have a strategy rating of 4. That's a really good strategy rating in this edition. Irresistible Charge. Scepter of Vengeance, White Arc. Smashing enemies off balance. When Saint Praxedes charges an enemy in d6, add her strength. If the total is greater than the strength of her opponent, they are knocked off balance and have their weapon skill for the rest of the turn. Wow. So literally, she like body checks them as she comes in and knocks them on the ground. Inspirational Leader. Awesome sight to behold. She strides into combat with a Scepter of Vengeance swinging in combat. A more magnificent and blazing trail of scepter cuts firing sways through the foe. Any friendly troops within line of sight to St. Praxedes may add +1 to their leadership for psychology and break tests. If she is fighting in hand-to-hand combat, any squad or models with line of sight to her may use her leadership value of 10 for psychology or break tests. Units led by her add +1 to their weapon skill if they charge an enemy in close combat. And her scepter is Strength 7, -4 save modifier. Wow. That is a badass power maul, if you ask me. So, who's the next one? Helena the Virtuous. Prioress of the Convent Sanctorum. Never heard of this one either. Armed with a bolt gun and the Rod of Grace. Cool. She's basically a 3-wound Sister Superior. 3-up armor save, 4-up modified save. Rosarius, Rod of Grace, Purity Seal, and Mantle of Ophelia. Strategy rating of 4 to the army. For the Bella, how may lead a squad with a Sacred Rite, adding +4 to the roll. For the result is a 10. You may roll twice and apply both results. Interesting. So we saw that the Canoness allowed +3, bringing up to 9 on that Sacred Rites table. She adds +4. If you roll a 10, then you get to roll twice and get 2 of the results. That is insanity. Every other squad in the army may receive +1 to its Sacred Rites rolls. In addition, oh cool, so you don't even have to have a veteran superior in the squad to add the +1. That's pretty cool. She just gives it to them without the extra points spent on the characters. Neat. Holy Radiance. She shines with the light of the Emperor. It's true radiant aura. Calm courage, words related to the soul, blah blah blah. Fleeing Imperial squads excuse me, Fleeing Imperial squads within 12 inches of Alina at the start of the rally phase automatically rally. In addition, all the troops within line of sight to Alina may use their leadership value of 10. Not just those within 12 inches. Oh, so all they have to do is see her to use her leadership. They don't have to be within 12 inches. That's handy. Helena herself is completely immune to psychology and break tests. That makes sense. She's a freaking saint. Revered leader. If Helena is wounded, all troops in the army become subject to hatred, as described in the 40k rulebook. If Helena should be killed, every squad passes the subsequent leadership test. For those with the loss of the commander, become immune to break tests for the rest of the battle. Wow. So rather than running away when their leader dies, they're like, "You killed our saint! You gotta die!" And they just go freaky and just can't run. That's crazy cool. Rod of Grace, similar to a Crozius Arcanum used by Space Marine chaplains, a shimmering field of force. However, the field is much more powerful and can be focused on a beam to strike at a distance. The Rod of Grace is the following profile: 6-inch range, strength 6, D3 damage, -4. Wow, it's like a little mini melt-a-gun. The Mantle of Ophelia is the power of the mantle can make Helena almost invulnerable for a short period of time. Declare at the start of the turn you are using the mantle. For the whole of that game, Helena may re-roll any failed save for her Rosarius. If the second roll is a fail and she is wounded as normal, once the power of the mantle has been invoked, it has no further effect. So it lasts for one turn, that's it. That's kind of cool. So it's like, you know you're getting surrounded. You can just... This turn, I'm going to get re-rolls to my Rosarius. Here we go, Uriah Jacobus. That's the guy I was talking about earlier. Super cool model, came out, I believe, in this edition. It might have come out in third. And he had that like orky looking skull on a banner pole, which was kind of cool, with like coals in it and stuff. And he had like a shotgun in one arm, which was wicked cool. Look at this guy; he looks absolutely insane. So, he's basically a toughness 5, 3-wound human, which is absolutely nuts. He's armed with a shotgun, frag and crack grenades, carapace armor, and a Rosarius. Rosarius, Litanies of Faith, and the Banner of Sanctity. If he's leading the army, you get a strategy rating of 3. That's not too shabby for a human character, considering Space Marines are a strategy rating of 3. Yeah, it's +1 to your sacred rights. He is therefore immune to psychology and break tests. Cool. If the unit flees, Jacobus does not flee with them, but remains as he is. Where are you guys going? We got enemies to fight. Come on. Any unit with 12 inches of his banner may roll 3 dice for their leadership and choose the lowest 2. It's handy. You may also ignore close combat fumbles. Treat the roll of a 1, but the enemy gets no further benefit. Count as having 6s. Wow. Cool. So instead of fumbling, they automatically get a critical hit. For every fumble, every 1 becomes a 6. That's, wow. That's really handy to have, especially on a combat unit. So, next, Redemptor Kirinov. That's the guy I mistook Jacobus for earlier in this video. He's got an icon of Chiros, which causes terror. It makes his squad immune to fear and terror. You want to line of sight of the icon, including the character wielding it, count as having a leadership of 10. Wow. There's a lot of stacking things here where all you have to be in line of sight, you don't have to be in any kind of aura bubble. So that's kind of neat. If you threw a few of these characters into your army, you could really make the rest of your army unstoppable just by being able to see these guys. This is really cool. Going through all these books is actually making me want to play 2nd edition again. He's got a mastercrafted bolt pistol and the Mace of Valen. So the Mace of Valen can be wielded in close combat with the following profile. Mace's powerful wielder opponent may never parry its blows, however, it is the source of the parry. Strength 6, -3 save modifier. Cannot be parried. Cool. That's pretty cool. Badass little character. And last but not least, the Cardinal Armandus Hellfire. Never heard of this one either. These are characters that we would love to see back in the game. Again, Games Workshop, if you're listening, bring back some of these older characters that we're not seeing anymore. So he's armed with a plasma gun and the Scepter of Avignon. Interesting. He's got flak armor and a Rosarius. If he's leading the army, you have a strategy rating of 3. Okay. Standard. Armandus may lead a squad in one of his sacred rites. He adds +1 to the table. Holy disdain. Armandus may disdain of alien races. He believes the Emperor protects him and no harm can befall him from the filthy hands of the godless scum. He's totally immune to fear and terror tests and cannot be broken. Should a squad accompany Armandus flee, he will remain in place. Okay, just like Jacobus. That's kind of cool. He has a commanding voice and he bellows clearly, heard over the thunder of gunfire and screams of wounding. Armandus is the army commander. Units within 18 inches may use his leadership at 10 rather than just units within 12 inches. Okay, not quite as good as just being in line of sight, but definitely better than 12. Old Stony, fondly referred to as Old Stony by the troops under his command. He has an incredible endurance and stamina that can weather wounds without a blink that would fell lesser men. Partially reflected in his strength, toughness, and wounds characteristic. Wow, yeah, he's got a strength of 5. Toughness of 5, that's big for a human. In addition, any weapon that causes multiple damage, which hits Armandus, halves the number of wounds it inflicts. Wow, you're halving the damage. That's big. That is, wow. And he's got the Scepter of Avignon, last piece of war gear we're going to look at today. It is a great symbol of hope, and the fleeing friendly squad may draw a line of sight to it when it rallies. It is treated as having rolled a double 1, i.e. it can take a normal turn as described in the page 48 of the rulebook. Scepter may also be wielded as close combat, adds +1 to the wielder's strength. So he's actually got a strength of 6 in combat. Nasty. Cool. So let's take one last look at these cool old school pictures. We got them fighting against orcs here. Neat. The old school commandos. Some Death Skull boys with their combi weapons and the old school buggy, which hopefully will soon be replaced. I have seen the new buggy model and it looks awesome. I don't know why it took them 25 years to redo that model, but anyway. And here we got them against some Plague Marines, allied with Fabius Bile. Fluff-wise doesn't make a lot of sense, but pretty cool nonetheless. And the old school fish head Plague Marines. How cool they used to look. I actually really like those Plague Marines. Nowadays they're just 1,000 times bigger and badder, but these were wicked cool old school models. So that was the 2nd edition Sisters of Battle Codex. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I had a great time looking at it. It was awesome how the rules were back then as compared to nowadays. It's crazy, right? The difference the last like 20 years has seen. This game has evolved a lot over time, and that's kind of the point of this series. Not only does it give me a chance to tweak all those little nostalgia muscles that are up here in my head and make me kind of feel like happy and back to my childhood, but I hope I do the same for you guys. I mean, I want you guys to know just the way things were back then, and for those of you who actually played back then, I hope it sort of hits those nostalgia buttons for you too. For those of you who are currently into the game and don't know what the past was, this is sort of educational for you guys, I would hope. Yeah, to see what 2nd edition was like, because we've gone through the couple of Rogue Trader books I had. I don't have all of them, I wish I did, but we've gone through Rogue Trader, we've gone through 2nd edition, we've even done some of the early Warhammer stuff. So, coming up on the Relics of the Dark Age series, we're going to start now into 3rd, because now we've done all of the 2nd edition content. So for those of you who are actually seeing this video for the first time, go back and check it all out right from the beginning. I mean, I actually started this series with the very first edition of Warhammer. Yeah, first edition ever. So, go back and check that out. I mean, it was a long time ago, so the video's not as good quality as this one, but regardless, we have evolved, right, over the last couple of years. But we have now gone through all of 2nd edition, which is wicked awesome, because that means that we can move on to 3rd. And 3rd was an interesting time period for Warhammer 40k. It was a big overhaul of the rules. The biggest overhaul we've seen, well, up until now with 8th, right? 8th was a massive overhaul. And in fact, you'll see when we go through the 3rd edition stuff, it's behind me here, that 7th even was really just an evolution of 3rd. I mean, Fourth, it kind of changed a little bit. Fifth, it changed a little bit more. Sixth was just a nightmare, and then seventh was just it just got super congested, right? So I guess they had to reboot it into eighth. It just was what it was, right? And I'm extremely happy they did it. But I enjoyed playing the game in those 20 years in between, right? I mean, so the 3rd edition rule book is massive, so I might actually divide that up into separate videos, just because you guys probably don't want to sit here for 4 hours and listen to me talk about a rule book. If we can divide it into like 2 hour-and-a-half videos or something like that, we'll do that, okay? Just so you guys know what to expect in the future. So that's what's coming up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please, if you have not yet, hit the subscribe button. I mean, really, just hit the subscribe button. It's super easy to do, just right there. Click. Super easy, right? And that little bell next to it will tell you when our videos come out, so you can know when all the Relics of the Dark Age stuff is hitting your screen, right? Also, we do all kinds of other stuff. We do tutorials, we do battle reports, we have a podcast, we have all kinds of content that is really good for hobbyists, and it's not just this old geekery of looking back at old videos. We do all kinds of other geekery too, so check that out. On top of that, if you guys really enjoy this series, if you really enjoy all the other videos we do that I just mentioned, please go to the description below and check out our Patreon campaign. For as little as $1 a video, it goes a long way to help us here at Encounter Wargaming, keep the lights on, keep us building terrain, keep us playing games, and giving you guys awesome content, plus upgrading our equipment. I mean, this stuff ain't free, right? The internet's not free, right? And we need that stuff in order to bring you guys the content that you love. So, for the cost of a coffee every week, you help us out, keep the ball rolling, help us improve, get things better. I mean, it's a win-win, right, for everybody. Plus, you get a whole bunch of extra stuff. You get 10% off the warpainter.com. You get extra video content. You get to see our live content after the fact. You know, so you don't actually have to join us live if you don't want to. You get to see it later, which is kind of cool, because nobody else gets to, only the patrons do, right? And we have a whole bunch of other perks for patrons. We give out swag to the patrons that have been with us for a while, and like, it's just nice to know as a patron that you're able to contact us at any time and give us your ideas, give us your suggestions, and we will take them to heart. Not that we won't with your normal stuff. I mean, if you guys want to comment below and let me know what you want to see on this series or on any of our other series, please do that. We always listen to our audience, and we love getting comments from you guys. We love getting emails from you guys, because it makes us feel good that we are helping you out, right? So it should make you feel good that you're helping us out with the cost of a coffee. Super simple. So go down below, check out Patreon. Other than that, we'll continue on with this as soon as I can get that 3rd ed book out and flip through it enough to be able to give you guys a couple of quality videos around that. And so I hope you're looking forward to getting the 3rd edition, and I hope you enjoyed seeing 2nd edition, and we'll see you at our next encounter.
Like a monkey in a rocket on his way back home. Okay.